300 years ago, the patriarch of the Huo family, the most powerful financial dynasty in the capital, passed by an infant tower. He made a vile comment, "Daughters are useless, they deserve to die," bringing a generational curse upon all the men in his family. From that day on, every male heir of the Huo family would undergo a sudden transformation on his 25th birthday, developing a curvaceous figure and full breasts like a woman. The only way to break the curse was to marry a woman of fortune, a woman with a curse-breaking constitution. My sister and I were both women of fortune. In my previous life, Huo Sichen wanted to marry my sister, but I, having seen the truth, desperately tried to stop him. In the end, he was forced to marry me. On our wedding night, my sister left a suicide note and jumped off a cliff, accusing me of stealing her one true love. My parents called me vicious. Huo Sichen hated me to the bone. On the 7th day after my sister's death, he had his men tie me to a helicopter and fly me like a kite. I cried that I had saved him, begging him to let me go. Su Wanrong, the one I wanted to marry, was Mao Mao. She could have saved me even without you. It was your meddling that killed her. Go to hell. His face was a mask of savagery as he cut the rope. I plummeted from the sky, smashing into a bloody pulp. When I opened my eyes again, I was back on the day the Huo family came to propose marriage to a woman of fortune. This time, I was curious to see how Su Mao Mao, her fortune all but gone, would save him. "Dad, Mom, I want to marry her," Huo Sichen said, pointing at my sister, who was gracefully approaching in a white dress. As he spoke, he shot me a glare filled with anger and threat. I understood instantly. He had been reborn too. My sister shyly tucked a stray strand of hair behind her ear and said softly, "Dad, Mom, who are they?" My parents smilingly introduced her to the Huo family. A scornful smile touched my lips. She and Huo Sichen had been involved for ages. What was the point of this act? Tired of watching their charade, I stood up to leave. Huo Sichen stared at me, his voice dripping with disgust. "Su Wanrong, don't you dare spout any more nonsense about how you're the only one who can break the curse by marrying me. I will not marry you. You're an ugly girl, so you can just save it." His parents scolded him, but Huo Sichen only shouted louder. "Dad, Mom, that curse is just baseless talk. Besides, it's been 300 years. I refuse to believe it can actually affect me." Old Master Huo slapped him on the back of the head. "What the hell do you know? The only reason the men of the Huo family have been safe is because we all married women of fortune. Your 25th birthday is next week. We can't delay any longer." Mrs. Huo's eyes reddened. "That's right, Sichen. Your mother is also a woman of fortune, which is why your father married me. We searched for over 20 years to finally find a suitable woman of fortune of the right age. Don't be so willful." Huo Sichen stubbornly pointed at my sister. "Then I'll marry her. She's a woman of fortune too. There is no way I'm marrying that ugly Su Wanrong. If you force me to marry her, I'll kill myself right now." I sneered, so this whole performance was just to shut everyone up. In my last life, after Huo Sichen declared he wanted to marry my sister, I ignored his choice and stood up, announcing gravely to everyone, "He can't marry my sister. My sister can't save him. Only I can." Huo Sichen had flown into a rage, calling me a toad lusting after a swan. My parents, favoring my sister, had also screamed at me. Only Old Master and Mrs. Huo, after some discussion, decided to force Huo Sichen to marry me. They would rather he marry the wrong person than risk any mishap. They didn't know that because my sister and I were twins, connected by blood, I was the only one who could see her secret. Although my sister was also a woman of fortune, she truly couldn't save Huo Sichen. In fact, she would harm him. After my sister's suicide in my past life, I had tried to tell my parents her secret, but they refused to listen, calling me vicious and disowning me on the spot. When I tried to tell Huo Sichen, he had me dangled from a helicopter and dropped to my death. It wasn't until the moment I died that I learned the truth. He and my sister had been together all along. Her suicide had nothing to do with me. She killed herself out of fear, after she realized the secret she was carrying. The thought made my whole body tremble. The searing pain of the fall washed over me like a tidal wave. This time, I would watch them all bring about their own destruction. "Don't you worry, young Master Huo. You're not the one I want to marry either." I gave him a deep look, then rose and bid my farewells to the group. My parents' apologetic voices followed me. "Our eldest daughter has always been odd and not very pleasant to look at. Please forgive her." A faint ache pricked my heart. Ever since we were children, my parents had favored my sister just because she was born a few seconds after me. I was always forced to give way to her. Later, when I discovered my sister's secret and tried to tell our mother, she accused me of being jealous. My father, meanwhile, was counting on my beautiful and obedient sister to help our family climb the social ladder and marry into a top-tier family. They had never truly cared about me, so I didn't want them anymore either. Taking out my phone, I replied to a text message from 3 days ago. I agree to marry you, but on one condition. Perhaps fearing I would ruin his plans, Huo Sichen had someone announce that very night that he was going to marry the second daughter of the Su family. The wedding was set for a week later, on his 25th birthday. Coincidentally, it was the same day as the wedding of the man I was to marry. For the next 2 days, he sent people to pick me up for wedding dress fittings and banquet planning. I was so tired I just wanted to slack off, but he said earnestly, "You are my savior and the only wife I will ever have. The wedding must be grand. I cannot let you be wronged." Looking into his deep eyes, my heart skipped a beat against my will. In my past life, he had actually sought me out, but by then I had already decided to marry Huo Sichen, so I cruelly rejected him. I later heard he had committed suicide, and I was filled with guilt. But at the time, my only thought was to save my sister and parents from the thunderous wrath of the Huo family. This time, I decided to be a little selfish, to save the person I wanted to save and live the life I wanted to live. 3 days before the wedding, he said he had to fly abroad personally to find a diamond worthy of me. "Wanrong, I'll have someone pick you up tomorrow. You will absolutely be satisfied with this wedding dress." He squeezed my hand before turning and getting into the car for the airport. The next day, when I saw the dress, I was utterly stunned. The shop manager said he had rushed 100 designers to create it, naming it Wan, which meant evening. When I put it on, the entire room seemed to sparkle. Even my plain face was enhanced, looking almost radiant. "Sichen, I like the one she's wearing." A familiar voice reached my ears. As I turned, my eyes met Huo Sichen's. A flash of amazement crossed his face, quickly replaced by a sneer. "Su Wanrong, what are you doing here? Did you know we were coming to help Mao Mao try on dresses, so you came here on purpose to disgust us?" Su Mao Mao turned and threw herself into our mother's arms. "Mom, do you think sister is angry because we didn't bring her along?" My parents snapped at me. "You wretched girl, you've been staying out all day, so you were just bottling it up to spite your sister. Take that dress off right now and get out. You have no grace at all. Are you that desperate to get married? You're a disgrace to the Su family." I let out a cold laugh and retorted without mercy, "I'm 23 years old. Do I need your permission to go where I want and do what I want? This dress is mine. No one is taking it." "You rebellious girl." My father slapped me across the face, while my mother began frantically tearing at my dress. "If your sister likes it, it's hers. Take it off." I tried to fight back, but Huo Sichen grabbed my hands, holding them fast. Underneath the dress, I was only wearing adhesive bra cups and underwear, which were now completely exposed to his view. A wave of humiliation washed over me. Seeing that I was about to cry, he let go, allowing me to go change back into my own clothes. When I came out of the fitting room, I saw Su Mao Mao wearing that very dress, looking utterly triumphant. I said that dress is mine. I was about to call for the manager, but my mother yanked me back. "Haven't you caused enough of a scene? This dress is meant for someone beautiful like your sister. Stop dreaming." My father snatched my phone. "Go home and reflect on your actions. You're not allowed out until after your sister's wedding in 2 days." Amid my furious shouts, Huo Sichen ordered his bodyguards to shove me into a car. He leaned in and whispered in my ear with a chuckle, "Su Wanrong, so you were playing hard to get that day. You showed up here just to get my attention, didn't you? Be a good girl, and I promise, on our wedding night, I'll spend the first half with your sister and the second half with you." As he spoke, he pressed a key into my palm. I spat in his face. "What brand of trash bag are you to be so full of yourself? Get lost. A toad lusting after a swan." His face darkened. "Don't be ungrateful. Besides me, who would want an ugly girl like you? Think about it." With that, he ordered his men to take me home. I was locked in my room, seething with hatred. 2 more days. I couldn't wait to see that bastard Huo Sichen turn into some freakish, gender-bent monster. When that happened, the Huo family would likely take their anger out on my sister and parents first. I had to find a way to sever ties with them. Late that night, I started smashing everything in my room, making so much noise that no one could sleep. But my parents still refused to let me out. Left with no choice, I started a fire. That night, a large part of the Su family's old mansion burned down. My parents, cursing me as a jinx, threw me out of the house. In the chaos, I managed to get my phone back and called that man. Without a second thought, he sent someone to pick me up and take me to a vacant mansion. The next 2 days, I slept soundly, conserving my energy for the wedding day. When I appeared on the first floor of the banquet hall wearing that custom-made, high-fashion wedding gown, the faces of my parents and Su Maomeo turned pale. A flash of delight crossed Huo Sichen's eyes, but he quickly masked it with a scowl and reprimanded me. Su Wanrong, are you dressed like this to crash the wedding? How shameless. I hadn't expected these two pests to also choose this venue for their wedding. I frowned. You're overthinking it. I'm also here to get married. Move, I need to get inside. Su Maomeo, holding her own wedding dress, came up to me, her eyes filled with unconcealable jealousy and hatred. Sister, why do you always have to take things from me? I can let you have this dress, but I will not let you have Sichen. Her words caused an uproar in the crowd. What does that mean? The Su family's older daughter stole the dress and now wants to steal the groom. My parents pushed through the crowd. Su Wanrong, are you insane? We wouldn't let you steal your sister's husband, so you set a fire to try and burn us all alive, and now you dare to show up here dressed like this to crash the wedding. Do you want us to call the police? Everyone was stunned. Holy crap, the fire at the Su's 2 days ago was her doing? That's horrible. Ugly people really do cause the most trouble. If I were her parents, I would have disowned her long ago. At that moment, all I wanted to do was laugh coldly. Ever since we were little, my sister had always coveted my things. She could always twist things with her innocent-sounding words to make it seem like I was the one stealing from her, and my parents would always take her side, taking what was rightfully mine and giving it to her. You illegally imprisoned me and restricted my freedom. Am I not allowed to save myself? I shot back coldly, only to receive a slap from my father. Do you have to air our dirty laundry in public? Why did we lock you up? Because you were shamelessly chasing after your sister's husband. What on earth is going on? Huo Sichen's parents rushed over. After listening to the accusations my sister and parents leveled against me, the two of them exchanged a look. But when we came to propose a week ago, she certainly didn't say she wanted to marry Sichen. Clutching my reddened cheek, I let out a derisive laugh. Old Master Huo, Mrs. Huo, at least you two are reasonable. I've already said, my visit to the bridal shop and my presence here today were both coincidences. The man I'm marrying chose this venue for our wedding, just on the second floor. Everyone laughed. The second floor has never been open to the public. It's a banquet hall for VIPs only. We've never seen anyone hold a wedding on the second floor. My parents grew even more embarrassed. Su Wanrong, I never knew you were such a pathological liar. Get out. From this day on, the Su family no longer has a daughter like you. Hearing this, I smiled with satisfaction. Good, I'd like everyone here to be my witness, because I have no desire to be dragged down with you. The Huo couple froze. Dragged down, what do you mean? I pointed at my sister. She can't save your son at all. My sister's face went white, her eyes welling with tears. Sister, a master predicted it when we were born. He said we were both women of fortune. Are you really going to slander me in public like this just so you can marry into the Huo family in my place? Huo Sichen wrapped a protective arm around her, looking at me with disgust. Su Wanrong, give it up. The only wife I will ever acknowledge is Maomeo. Even if you stood naked in front of me, I wouldn't marry you. I just scoffed. You're in a rush to die, am I supposed to stop you? I just feel sorry for your parents. With that, I turned to leave, but Mrs. Huo stopped me. Miss Su, were you telling the truth just now? If that's the case, could I please ask you to marry my son? A parent's love knows no bounds. Just like in my last life, she was so worried about Huo Sichen's health that she was willing to call off the wedding in front of everyone just to save her son. Mom, I told you I won't marry this bitch, don't beg her. Huo Sichen ground out, glaring at me. Su Wanrong, drop your act and your schemes. I will absolutely not marry you again this time. Just as his words fell, a steady male voice sounded from the doorway. It's not your place to marry my woman. The entire hall erupted. When they got a clear look at the man in the sharp suit, old Master Huo's eyes widened. You're Huo Yanzhou. The man smiled faintly. Long time no see, big brother, have you been well? Old Master Huo nodded excitedly. Yes, yes. From their conversation, everyone learned the truth. The man before them was the adopted son of Huo Sichen's grandfather. He was born on the same day as Sichen, but in terms of generation, he was his youngest uncle. When he heard I was marrying his youngest uncle, making me his youngest aunt. Huo Sichen completely lost it. He dragged me aside and hissed, "Su Wanrong, you don't have to marry him just to spite me. He's just an outsider to the Huo family. I'm the future heir. If you agree to what I said before, I promise to spend the rest of the night with you and treat you well from now on." I shook his hand off in disgust. Does your rectum connect directly to your brain for you to say something so disgusting? Get lost and don't hold up my wedding. Huo Sichen exploded with rage. Fine, the day I become the head of the Huo family, I'll make sure you two die a horrible death. I smiled. You should worry about surviving tonight first. Out of pity for Mrs. Huo, I gave her one last piece of advice. Mrs. Huo, you're still young. You and old Master Huo could consider having another child. Just be sure to choose your daughter-in-law more carefully next time. With that, I gave Huo Sichen one last look, as if I were looking at a dead man. My sister could no longer hold back and blocked my path. Sister, you don't have to keep insinuating that I can't save Sichen. I dare you to make a bet. If I can get Sichen through his 25th birthday safely, you will kneel and apologize to me and our parents, and then get the hell out of the capital. I paused. All right, then let's see if you can save Huo Sichen or if I can save Huo Yanju. After the wedding ceremony, everyone chose to stay at the hotel to wait for the outcome of the bet. After all, this was a once-in-a-century wager. Win or lose, they had a chance to witness the legendary curse. As I straddled Huo Yanju, a provocative voice message came from Su Mayomeo. Sister, Mom and Dad just said they're disowning you. They're leaving all their assets to me. Sichen also promised me that once he inherits the family, he'll make sure you and that Huo Yanju die miserable deaths. Even if you save him tonight, you can't escape your fate. I'd advise you to start picking out a gravesite. Ha 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 ha. I tossed the phone aside and wrapped my arms around Huo Yanju's neck. Hubby, someone's threatening me. What should I do? Huo Yanju's hand clamped around my waist, his voice low and husky. Don't be afraid. I'll take care of them one by one, but right now, it's time to get down to business. The moment the clock struck midnight, Huo Yanju held me and let out a sigh of satisfaction. At the same time, there was a knock on the door. Huo Sichen's trembling, high-pitched voice came through. Su Wanrong, please save me. A series of screams erupted from the hallway. Ah, Mr. Huo, what's happened to your body? The people who had attended the wedding during the day and were waiting to see the outcome of the bet were all gathered outside our door. They weren't just there to see the result. They didn't want to miss the once-in-a-century curse. And now, they had truly hit the jackpot. Get out, all of you get out. I'm fine, I'm fine. Huo Sichen's roars, mixed with the crowd's screams, threw the hallway into chaos. I dressed slowly, while Huo Yanju wrapped his arms around me from behind. Wife, I finally believe in that curse now. Thank you for saving me. I smiled. You're welcome. Actually, I've seen that curse with my own eyes before. Huo Yanju was a bit confused. Huh, but as far as I know, no one in the Huo family has succumbed to the curse in the last 50 years. I sighed, my thoughts drifting back to my previous life. In my last life, I didn't believe in the curse either. It wasn't until after I died, just before my soul dissipated, that I saw the body of Huo Yanju, who had committed suicide abroad. Only then did I understand the curse was real. Even though he was adopted by Grandpa Huo, the moment his name was entered into the family registry, he too became subject to the curse. The curse was never bound by blood. Fortunately, Huo Yanju was cautious enough and truly considered himself a part of the Huo family. Otherwise, if he hadn't found me in this life, he would have been cursed just like Huo Sichen. I'm a woman of fortune. Naturally, I can see things in my dreams that others can't. I brushed past those painful memories with that simple sentence. If I told Huo Yanju that I had seen him in my past life, cursed and transformed into that monstrous state, he would surely be scared out of his mind. Is that so? But I haven't seen it. Let's go out and have a look. He took my hand and pulled open the door. The hallway was packed with people. Huo Sichen, wrapped in a bath towel, was acting like a crazed dog. Before we could see anything, he rushed back into his room and slammed the door. His furious curses and Su Myomeo's pained cries came from inside. You bitch, you did this to me, and you still have the nerve to call yourself a woman of fortune. The sharp sound of slaps and things smashing echoed continuously. Ah, hubby, don't hit me. I don't know why this is happening. I really am a woman of fortune. Please stop hitting me. When the Huo couple arrived and heard the commotion inside, their faces changed in unison. Everyone, please return to your rooms. We ask that you please not speak of tonight's events. The Huo family will remember this favor. Old Master Huo said, his face ashen as he cupped his fists. But everyone knew his subtext was, if anyone dares to talk, don't blame the Huo family for ruthless retaliation. The crowd quickly agreed and dispersed within a minute. Mrs. Huo knocked on the door, crying, but Huo Sichen roared from inside, Mom, this bitch has ruined me. How can I face anyone like this? I'm going to kill her. I'm going to kill her. Su Maimeo's wails grew louder. Ah, someone save me. Bang! With a loud crash, her voice abruptly stopped. Fearing a death, Old Master Huo stomped his feet in panic. Son, don't be afraid. The Huo family has plenty of money and resources. As long as you're okay, Dad will find a way to save you. Huo Sichen finally broke down in tears. Dad, can I still get better? I'm so scared. You can, you definitely can. Your little uncle is fine. We will definitely beg Miss Wanrong to save you. I quickly waved my hands. I never agreed to that. I need to go back to sleep with my husband. Excuse us. With that, I grabbed Huo Yanju and ran back to our room without a second glance. That night, I pretended not to hear anyone who knocked on our door. The next morning, when I opened my door, I saw the Huo couple sitting outside, their eyes bruised and swollen. Seeing me, Mrs. Huo stood up and gripped my hand tightly. Miss Wanrong, I'm begging you, please save my son, won't you? He's our only son. If he's ruined, we won't be able to go on living. I had always found her love for Huo Sichen moving, so I didn't shake her hand off. How is Huo Sichen now? Seeing my concern, Old Master Huo became so excited he started bowing to me. We took him home last night. The family doctor gave him an anesthetic. He should still be asleep. Oh, then I'll go back with you to take a look. I hadn't seen Huo Sichen's miserable state last night, and I certainly wasn't going to let it go. Hubby, let's go together. Huo Yanju smiled and took my hand. He had told me last night that in his 25 years, he had never once been to Huo Sichen's home. When he was adopted, everyone in the Huo family had strongly opposed it. They believed Huo Yanju would one day compete with them for the family fortune, but they couldn't defy the old patriarch and could only swallow their anger and pretend he didn't exist. Huo Yanju had always stayed abroad with Old Master Huo, so they had coexisted peacefully. When they met during holidays, it was only for polite greetings. But now, having him see their son's cursed and pathetic state was the last thing Old Master and Mrs. Huo wanted. Old Master Huo wanted to stop him, but was afraid I would back out, so he could only force a smile and invite us into the car. Upon arriving at the Huo family mansion, I was surprised to see my parents kneeling at the main gate. Both looked haggard, their hair a mess, their clothes tattered. They were a world away from the festive, well-dressed couple from yesterday. When they saw Old Master Huo personally open the car door for me, their eyes lit up, and they crawled over to me on their knees. Our good daughter, you're here. Quick, put in a good word for us. We didn't know things would turn out like this. I spoke coldly. Mr. Su, Mrs. Su, I believe you already announced yesterday that you have severed ties with me. You have only one daughter, and that is Su Maimeao. At the mention of her name, my mother shrieked in a sudden rage. Don't mention that little bitch. She was so useless she couldn't even save young Master Huo, and she got us dragged into this mess. We don't have a daughter like her. My father also chimed in with a fawning smile. That's right, we only have you, our good daughter. We won't have anything to do with her anymore. Let that little bitch fend for herself. Their words made me sick to my stomach. In my last life, they treated me this way for Su Maimeao's sake. Now, they were treating her this way to suck up to me. I finally understood. They had only ever loved themselves. Selfish people like them didn't deserve to be anyone's parents. Sorry, but I don't have parents as selfish as you. Excuse me. Without giving them a second glance, I stepped through the Huo family gates. Inside the room, I saw Su Maimeao, wrapped in bloody bandages. She was severely injured, but still forced herself to kneel by Huo Sichen's sickbed. Although Huo Sichen was covered by a blanket, it couldn't hide the prominent mounds on his chest. Indeed, true wealth cannot be concealed. It only becomes more obvious when one tries to hide it. I looked at Su Maimeao with undisguised mockery and smiled. Well, little sister, it seems you lost our bet after all. The dullness in Su Maimeao's eyes instantly flared with intense hatred. I didn't lose. Huo Yanju isn't even a real member of the Huo family, so how can you say I lost? She pointed at Huo Yanju beside me, her voice filled with resentment. Did you team up with him to trap me? Dad, Mom, you mustn't believe them. They want your family line to end so they can take over. Shut up, you are not to call us Dad and Mom. Old Master Huo slapped her hard across the face. At the wedding yesterday, your sister said you couldn't save my son. My wife was about to have you two switch places, but you and your black-hearted parents blocked it at every turn, and that's why my son is in this state. The Huo family does not recognize a harmful daughter-in-law like you. Kneel properly." At that moment, Huo Sichen, lying in bed, slowly woke up. The moment he saw me, his eyes flashed with wild joy. "Wanrong, you've come to save me." Su Mao joyfully crawled to his bedside. "Hubby, you're awake. I've thought it through. No matter what you become, I love you. I won't leave you." Huo Sichen ignored her and struggled to speak to me. "Wanrong, I know I was wrong. She and I haven't registered our marriage yet. Please, save me. Once I'm better, I'll marry you and make you the mistress of the Huo family." Huo Yanju's face darkened as he pulled me into his arms. "Nephew, I'm still standing right here, and you dare to covet your own little aunt." Old Master Huo's eyes reddened. He gritted his teeth and bowed deeply to him. "Yanju, I've never begged anyone in my life. Consider this me, your big brother, begging you. Please divorce Wanrong and let her marry Sichen, all right? As long as she saves Sichen, I promise I will never make things difficult for you again. I can even give you the position of head of the Huo family." The offer was indeed sincere, but it was too late. Seeing me seem to consider it, Huo Yanju's arm tightened around me. "Impossible. How could I give my wife to someone else? Besides, I've sworn to love only her for the rest of my life." Huo Sichen looked at me with pleading eyes. "Wanrong, I want to say a few words to you alone." I nodded at Huo Yanju, and he reluctantly followed the others out. When we were the only two left in the room, Huo Sichen spoke, his face streaked with tears. "I'm sorry. I regret it so much. In our last life, you risked everything to save me, and I treated you like that. I'm not human. Wanrong, the fact that you came today means you're willing to save me, right?" I looked at him, amused. "What makes you think I'd go soft on a man who tortured and killed me?" He was instantly overjoyed. "Su Wanrong, you were reborn too. You won't just let me die, right? After all, we were husband and wife in our last life." I sighed. "Huo Sichen, even if I wanted to save you, I'm powerless to do so now." Old Master Huo rushed back into the room. "What do you mean by that?" "You'll know by looking at her." I pointed at Su Mao and finally revealed the secret I had buried in my heart for 2 lifetimes. We women of fortune are forbidden from being promiscuous. If we violate this ancestral rule, we suffer a backlash. I wasn't sure at first, but ever since I can remember, I could see a radiant, golden aura of fortune flowing around Su Mao. It was very bright. But after her 18th birthday, when she stayed out all night after her coming-of-age party, I noticed the color of her fortune had dimmed considerably. Later, she secretly had many boyfriends behind our parents' backs, and the fortune around her grew thinner and thinner. By the time she got together with Huo Sichen, the light of her fortune had vanished completely. That's why I said she couldn't save him. Everyone was shocked. Huo Sichen was in utter disbelief. "You bitch, didn't you say I was your first? You lied to me." Su Mao collapsed to the floor. "No, how could this be?" I continued. "I didn't think it was possible either. But you should remember, we sisters looked identical when we were little. As you slept with more and more men over the years, you absorbed their fortune and became more and more beautiful. But even so, the fortune of these ordinary men could only enhance your appearance. Your own inherent fortune could never be restored. Su Mao, haven't you noticed that every man you've slept with has met with misfortune for one reason or another?" Mrs. Huo had a sudden realization. "You mean, because she was promiscuous, any man who slept with her would be unlucky?" I nodded. "So what happened to Huo Sichen is just the beginning. His bad luck will continue." "You're lying. I don't believe you." "Hubby, I never meant to harm you." Su Mao completely broke down and tried to lunge at Huo Sichen, but old Master Huo grabbed her. "Get out. Stay far away from our family, or I'll make sure you don't see tomorrow's sun." She was dragged out by bodyguards, along with my parents who were still kneeling at the gate. Mrs. Huo dropped to her knees before me, crying so hard she almost fainted. "Miss Wanrong, please save my son. There must be a way to make him normal again." I helped her up inside. "Mrs. Huo, I truly envy Huo Sichen for having a mother who loves him so much. This was the maternal love I had never received in 2 lifetimes. For your sake, I'll tell you the only way. But if you're not sincere, not even the gods can help." Mrs. Huo nodded excitedly. "Tell us, we will be 100,000% sincere." Old Master Huo was also thrilled. "As long as you can save my son, you will be the great benefactor of the Huo family. 300 years ago, the Huo family ancestor offended the infant tower in the village of the living dead, which is why the family has been cursed for generations. If Huo Sichen personally kneels in that infant tower and repents sincerely for 3 days and 3 nights, he can earn a 6-month reprieve. Within those 6 months, if he finds another woman of fortune and marries her, the curse on him can be lifted. The Huo couple was overjoyed. "We'll go right now." But Huo Sichen roared at my back. "Su Wanrong, you want me, a proud man, to kneel to those dead infants? You have a cruel heart. You're clearly trying to kill me. If you had insisted on marrying me, I wouldn't have become like this." I turned back, a mocking smile on my face. "Huo Sichen, no matter how cruel I am, I never dangled you from the sky and let you fall to a bloody pulp." He froze, then his eyes reddened. "So, this is your revenge on me." I ignored him and walked away, pulling Huo Yanju with me. After hearing that there was still hope for Huo Sichen, my parents chased after them to the village of the living dead with Su Maiomeo in tow. But as I had said, only Huo Sichen himself could enter the infant tower to kneel. The Huo couple blocked them from entering, so the 3 of them had no choice but to kneel outside the tower in solidarity. After a day and a night, my parents couldn't take it anymore. They made an excuse about going to a temple to burn incense for Huo Sichen and ran off. The Huo couple, having found a new woman of fortune through their connections, also left overnight to pay her a visit. Only Su Maiomeo was left kneeling before the tower. Terrified, she fumbled her way into the infant tower in the dark to find Huo Sichen. "Hubby, I'm here to keep you company." Huo Sichen initially ignored her, but a full day and night of constant repentance had left him parched. "Go find me some water and food." Su Maiomeo, however, lay down beside him and mumbled, "They took the car. There's no water or food left." Rage flared in Huo Sichen's heart. He wanted to explode, but remembered my words. He could only continue his penance. As he repented, he wanted to slap himself. I had told him in this life, too, that Su Maiomeo couldn't save him. Why did he have to go against me? He had said so many awful things to me, and even let my parents strip my clothes off and hit me. I must hate him to death, which was why, unlike in our past life, I hadn't insisted on marrying him. He thought back to the previous life. On their wedding night, he had been disgusted and refused to touch me, but I, wearing a sheer nightgown, had wrapped my arms around him and said, "Hubby, trust me. I'm really the only one who can save you." That night, I had been as gentle as water, the room filled with a seductive air. But after Su Maiomeo suicide, he had treated me so cruelly, having me dangled from a helicopter and personally cutting the rope, causing my gruesome death. Wait, if Su Maiomeo was as promiscuous as I claimed, she would never have killed herself over him. Then why did she leave a suicide note accusing me? Could it be she did it on purpose? The more Huo Sichen thought about it, the more wrong it felt. His heart pounded, and all the blood rushed to his head. He shoved Su Maiomeo, who was lying beside him, awake. "I have something to ask you." Su Maiomeo sat up impatiently. "If I had married your sister instead of you, what would you have done?" "What else? If that had happened, you wouldn't have beaten me like this, and I wouldn't be kneeling with you in this godforsaken place." As she spoke, her gaze flickered with disgust toward Huo Sichen's chest, though he tried his best to hide it. The 236D mounds of soft flesh jiggling on his chest were still glaringly obvious. "And you wouldn't have turned into this. Neither of us would be suffering so much." Her words further confirmed Huo Sichen's suspicions. "So, if I hadn't married you, if I had married Su Wanrong, you wouldn't have been heartbroken. You wouldn't have killed yourself." Su Maiomeo yawned lazily. "Of course not. Mom and Dad love me so much, how could I bear to leave them and die?" Huo Sichen completely snapped. "You bitch, Su Maiomeo." He lunged, his hands wrapping fiercely around her neck, as if channeling all his misfortune onto her. As if doing so could vent all the regret and fury in his heart. "Cough, cough, hubby, what are you doing? Let me go." Tears streamed down Su Maiaomeo's face as he choked her face turning purple. Finally, a second before she lost consciousness completely, Huo Sichen released his grip. "Letting you die like this would be too easy for you." He knelt down properly again and resumed his penance. The Huo couple returned the next morning. When they entered the tower, they found Huo Sichen had collapsed unconscious on the ground, with a feverish Su Maiomeo lying beside him. After taking them both to the hospital, Mrs. Huo called me. She explained the situation, full of self-blame, saying she never expected things to get so bad in just one night. She hoped I could come to the hospital to check on them. When I arrived at the hospital with Huo Yanju, I took one look at Huo Sichen and shook my head. His repentance wasn't sincere, which is why he fainted. At this rate, I'm afraid even marrying another woman of fortune won't change him back. The only option left is surgical removal of the excess parts. But that also meant he would never be able to have his own children. Mrs. Huo nearly fainted. Is our Huo family line really going to end? At that moment, Su Mao appeared at the doorway, leaning against the wall with a triumphant look on her face. It won't, Dad, Mom, the doctor said I'm pregnant. Mrs. Huo and Old Master Huo were shocked. But you've only been married for a few days? How could it be so fast? Su Mao proudly revealed that she and Huo Sichen had been together for 6 months. For a moment, the Huo couple didn't know whether to laugh or cry. When Huo Sichen woke up and learned that his condition could only be improved through surgery, he was so angry he almost fainted again. But hearing that Su Mao was carrying his child, he felt a sliver of relief and joy. Even my parents, upon hearing the news, rushed to the hospital happily, holding Su Mao's hand and praising her. Good daughter, you're the one who came through. Su Mao, holding no grudges, hugged them back, as close as they had ever been. Watching their happy, harmonious scene, I laughed out loud. Are you all so sure the child is Huo Sichen's? The Huo couple froze instantly, while Su Mao clutched her stomach and began to cry. Sister, I know you've always hated me for taking Sichen, but we've already been punished. Please, can you just let us go? This child is our only hope. Please don't destroy it. Huo Sichen, from his sickbed, nearly shot up in a rage. Su Wanrong, stop talking nonsense. This child is definitely mine. Mao has only been with me for the past 6 months. Oh, is that so? You're that confident? My words instantly put the Huo couple on high alert. You rest and take care of yourself. In 3 months, we'll do an amniocentesis DNA test. If it's really a child of our Huo family, we will raise it well. But if it's not, Old Master Huo's threatening gaze made my parents and Su Mao shudder. Su Mao's face was pale, but she remained stubborn. The child is definitely Sichen's, just you wait and see. I said nothing more, pulling Huo Yanju away. He had arranged a honeymoon abroad for us, and today was the day of our departure. Over the next 3 months, we went to Iceland to see the northern lights, to Turkey to see the hot air balloons, and to the African savanna to watch the Great Migration. When we returned, we heard a piece of news that was both expected and yet surprising. The day the 3 months were up, the Huo couple had impatiently dragged Su Mao for a paternity test. The results showed that the child was, indeed, not Huo Sichen's. They tried 5 different hospitals, and the result was the same every time. Furious, they immediately had their men beat Su Mao until she miscarried. When they heard she could no longer get pregnant, my parents immediately announced they were disowning her. Desperate, Su Mao pretended to be pitiful and begged my parents to let her stay with them until she recovered from the miscarriage. My parents, who had always favored her, agreed. But that very night, Su Mao put sleeping pills in their food, and then, with a knife for each of them, she ended my parents' lives. You want to abandon me? No way, we'll all die together. In the surveillance footage, she was laughing maniacally as she set fire to everything. And Huo Sichen, who had been actively cooperating with the surgery because of the child, couldn't handle the blow of learning the child wasn't his and completely lost his mind. The Huo family became the laughingstock of the entire capital. Left with no choice, the Huo couple took their insane son and flew abroad for treatment. Before leaving, Old Master Huo called Huo Yanju. He said he hoped Huo Yanju would take over the Huo family's domestic businesses. After all, the future heir of the Huo family could now only be him. I planted a kiss on Huo Yanju's cheek. Hubby, you won without even fighting. He pinched my cheek dotingly. I've noticed you're becoming as beautiful as Su Mao. You haven't been absorbing my fortune, have you? Get out of here. What we have is called nourishment. Only if you betray me will I drain your fortune and make you as unlucky as Huo Sichen. Huo Yanju put on a look of mock terror and begged for mercy. Never. I swear, I will be loyal only to you for the rest of my life. The end.